Hi. Find your weight loss blocks as a woman over 50. Hi, I'm Lori Ballou, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, and I'm here to tell you more about how a food sensitivity test can help you find your weight loss blocks. And so in this program today, this live, I am going to tell you about why you want to take a food sensitivity test, and also how it can help you with your weight loss, and then also about what it is that we're going to find and how that's going to support you even beyond just weight loss. And so those are approximately the 3 steps that we're going to take. And then I'm also going to go over a little science behind this and tell you about some of my client wins. And then also, I have a lot of valuable information to put in here, but I like to keep it light and fun and bring in a little bit of my personality and soul to these lives, because that makes it more interesting and fun for me as well. And this is the way you get to know me, and if you work with me, kind of already know what I'm going to be like. And so if you're also watching this from LinkedIn or YouTube, because I'm going to repurpose this live, and I am going to be keeping this a little bit light and chat a little bit, so you might want to skip to the end of the last 5 minutes, and I'm going to do a recap, and maybe you can catch the rest of it there. And so I'm just going to chat a little bit with this and let you know about what it is that I believe on this food sensitivity test and a little bit of the science behind it. So with all of my clients, with my 6-month VIP program, I do run 6 diagnostic labs. And the one that I run first, and the one that I used the very first month to help my clients get results for weight loss and small wins to turn off the pain of inflammation, is with the MRT food sensitivity test from the Oxford company. And I have never run one of these and not had results that my clients can utilize from the very first month so that they can get the results they need to feel better in their body. And what's really powerful about this is just thinking about how we can test and not guess about the weight loss blocks that we're having in our body. And so what can be happening is you could have weight loss resistance, or you can maybe get weight loss, but then your weight loss comes back, or you just can't lose the weight. And so what you want to do is look under the hood, so to speak, in our body, look inside our body with testing to find our hidden healing opportunities and what are those weight loss blocks that we have. And so with the food sensitivity test, we can actually find out where our inflammation is, because a mediator release test, the MRT test, is something that quantifies the inflammatory response to foods and to food chemicals. And this test tests over 176 foods and food chemicals. And so if you're on a highly processed food diet, I'm actually going to be able to see that in the results, because it's going to show the chemicals. And a lot of people will come up on food coloring, even the chemicals in toothpaste. Tyramine is that group of fermented foods that you could come up with candida. So those are some of the things that can come up that you would never guess that you're even having sensitivities to. So whatever you are ingesting, and you have leaky gut, and when you have food sensitivities, that is something that can actually create the leaky gut and then continue to perpetuate that leaky gut. And so it's going to cause inflammation in your body. So as long as it's causing inflammation in your body, there's going to be an immune response. And so what this does, this mediator release test, is it's giving you an antigen response in the white blood cells to show where your inflammation response is. And so if you were like me and sensitive, red sensitive to wheat and dairy, I could not lose weight until I got those food sensitivities under control. So that's something that you really, really, really should know, because a lot of the times you're told that those foods are healthy for you. And so you could be eating foods that are healthy for you, but you could be having an inflammatory response. One of the clients that I'm currently working on, she's been working with reducing depression, and 6 months in, we're really starting to see a big difference, because it's taken her a while to get rid of some of the food sensitivities, and beef is one of them. So wheat has been very big. So now that she's starting to reduce the wheat more and looking at reducing the beef more, she's starting to notice a huge difference. And I'm going to post her response later in my stories so that you could see what she was talking about. That was really powerful. And so some of the things that we could have because we're having food sensitivities, could be just gas and bloating. It could be autoimmune conditions, joint pain, because when you have leaky gut and your food sensitivities, you're always going to have autoimmunity turned on. And so there could be fibromyalgia, there could be IBS responses, there could be lots of autoimmune conditions happening in your body. There could be chronic fatigue, there could be constipation, acne, joint pain. Again, I've already said that, but that's something also to think about. So I have, for myself, I had depression, and I also had inflammation that was causing allergies as well as asthma. And so I had the sinusitis and bronchitis because those were the symptoms of the downstream effect of having asthma and allergies when you have too much congestion. Because back then I was still using dairy, and I have a red inflammation to dairy. And when I say red inflammation, this is a food sensitivity test from the MRT company. And if you look closely enough, I've got 3 big reds there. This is my test. And those big reds are wheat, tea of all things. People tell me to cut back on coffee, but I would have gone to tea. So good thing I didn't choose tea, because I never felt good drinking tea, and this could be one of the reasons why. Black tea. I could still drink green tea. So cow's milk was even higher than wheat. And even though I gave up wheat and sugar in the beginning of my weight loss journey, I hadn't given up dairy yet, but I always had congestion. And so if you have congestion, that could be something to think about, is what is causing that inflammation in your body. And so we want to look at these food sensitivities as not something that is restricting your diet and what you get to eat, but something that you can look at. Like one of my clients is like, oh my God, this is great. Or actually a couple of them, oh, I know exactly what to eat, because they'll show you in the green what you're not reacting to. So in the beginning, to turn off pain and get your inflammation under control, what you want to do is eat from the green so that you have less inflammation in your body, and your body gets a jump start at healing. And so you want to take things that are yellow out of your diet for 3 months, and things that are red, you would want to take them out for 6 months, and then do a heal and seal the gut, and even re-inoculate your good bacteria so that you can get healthy to lose the weight. And so that's part of the process of why I run a food sensitivity test. And this is one of the cards that they'll send you to, that you can take with you to the grocery store, and then that you can see what foods you should avoid, especially in the beginning. And, there's a presentation I give with all of my clients to go over specifically what you want to do when you're sensitive to wheat and cow's dairy, because what the MRT is showing us, that it is quantifying the inflammation response in the body. And so this antigen response is your white blood cells. And so another thing that's happening is could be B memory cell antigen response in your body. So if you're sensitive to wheat, and a lot of people can be, and you might not be sensitive to wheat, but showing sensitive to the anti-gliadin protein in wheat, and there could be dairy sensitivities where you're not sensitive to the wheat. However, those proteins are very similar. So if you're sensitive to one, you're going to be sensitive to all of the same protein ones. So that includes corn, cow's milk, and wheat. And so those are the big ones. And if you're sensitive to those, that is a huge weight loss block that you just discovered. And so sometimes we need to see these in black and white, because we don't know why we need to avoid these things. You could have IBS, and you could have pain, the inflammation in your body, which is pain. It could be an autoimmune response like fibromyalgia. You could have something like that. And what's happening is that you are acquiring inflammation because of the food sensitivities, because of the leaky gut, and they get into your blood and cause an autoimmune problem. And there can be a lot of inflammation because of that. So the more we eat the foods we are sensitive to, the more we are going to have an inflammatory response in our intestinal tract. And then if we have leaky gut, and normally we do, because that's what's part of the whole circulatory problem, is the leaky gut. And so we're setting off an immune response every time we eat these foods. And if we're doing this continuously and don't know we're sensitive to them, we are continuing to have inflammation. So that sciatica is not a normal condition. That is inflammation in your body. What are you eating that's causing sciatica? That's what I always think. I'm like, if I had pain in my body, what am I eating? I used to have an inflammatory response where I would put my elbows on the table and I would feel pain. I was eating something I was inflammatory toward, that was inflammatory to me. And I don't get that anymore, so I must have figured out what it was that was causing all of my inflammation, or I did really good taking it out, because I don't have that pain in my elbows anymore. But if I do notice any kind of inflammation anywhere in my body, it hit the herbal anti-inflammatories, kind of check in with myself to see what I've been eating, to see if something's been sneaking in, because, every now and then, it's also the dose is the poison. I can't have liquid dairy. And I can't even have yogurts, even sheep and goat yogurts, because it's just too much quantity. But I could get in a little bit of aged cheeses and my body doesn't notice it too much. At least I've convinced myself of that. But I definitely cannot notice the difference. But if I were in my allergy season, like I'm allergic to my mulberry trees, like a 4XXX, 4+++. And so that was part of my problem, was I was having an immune response to that allergy all the time and getting bronchitis. And so once I took those inflammatory foods out of my diet, I dropped 20 pounds. And so this can be very big when you take out the foods that are causing the problems. And then you're able to then get your energy levels back in your brain, and you're able to focus more on the weight loss. And that's part of the process. So then once I didn't know initially that I was sensitive to dairy, and I could not lose my weight the rest of my weight while I was still ingesting dairy. So it took me a few more years before I had that information. And then once I was able to take out the dairy, do my circadian balance, and get my grounding and sunlight in, I was able to drop that last. So I dropped 20 pounds. I was 185. I used to be 225 pounds, kind of stabilized between 190 and 185, and then dropped 20 pounds, and then back and forth between 150, 155, trying to keep it down, but I couldn't get any lower. And so I had to dial in my food sensitivities, and I had to take out the dairy. And then I also had to finalize all of that inflammation in my body, and so I was able to then release more fat. And so when you're looking at getting a food sensitivity and uncovering your weight loss blocks, especially as a woman over 50, because we're more insulin resistant. And so we're not really sure why we're gaining weight. But what if you can discover your weight loss blocks with this food sensitivity test, and you know exactly what to do, and you don't have to test? And you can test instead of guessing. That's the whole idea. So stop struggling. You don't have to struggle so hard for weight loss, but we do have to tune into what's causing our body inflammation. Because if there's pain, there's inflammation. What are you eating that's causing the inflammation? What in your environment could be causing the inflammation? It could be mold, could be Lyme. Those are also things. It could be high stress. But it's good to rule out which foods are causing the problem, and discover what your reds and your yellows are, so you can avoid them and get your body healthy again. So you want to be able to find your food sensitivities. You want to be able to figure out where your weight loss blocks are and what your healing opportunities are. And running this test is a really good way to find that out. And what's really cool about this is it gives you, when you test instead of guessing, you get to find your hidden healing opportunities and figure them out sooner than later. So it's almost like collapsing the time. Investing in diagnostic labs gives you information so that you can address things quickly, so that you can lose weight this year, and so that you don't have to keep struggling and trying to figure out, why is this not working for you? Maybe you tried a low-carb diet and it didn't work for you. Maybe you were still eating the foods that you're sensitive to. A lot of keto foods might still have wheat in them. They'll have wheat gluten. So you cannot have wheat gluten on a low-carb diet. And if you're trying to eat an anti-inflammatory whole foods diet, you don't want to have wheat either, because wheat is highly inflammatory, which is not being told in the medical system. But that is something to be aware of. So let me think about what's something to talk about next. So it's good to discover what is inflammatory in our environment and the foods we're eating, so that we can get permanent weight loss, lose the weight once and all for good. And so this is something that I focus on with my clients. Is I teach lifestyle management to not only turn off inflammation, reduce the pain, help you get your sleep dialed in, support your digestion, find out what's going under the hood with your gut, and in your stomach and with your digestion, because there's always something going on with digestion, which is why there is a problem, because digestion starts in the mouth. Do you have the right, and then, into the stomach, do you have the right, does your stomach have the right stomach acid so you can digest your food? If you don't have that, and then the food goes into your small intestines, it might take longer to get there, but there could be small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. There could be a lack of bile. And then if you're not digesting things, there could be fat malabsorption, and there could also be protein putrefaction, and you won't be absorbing your protein, your amino acids, and then your neurotransmitters can be suffering. So there's a lot of downstream things that can happen. And when we find our food sensitivities and dial in those hidden healing opportunities and correct everything with 6 diagnostic labs, then you get results sooner than if you had to do this on your own. And so always think about that as to what your priority is. What goals do you have? Are you aiming for a vacation this year? That's the best vacation you're ever going to have. Maybe you're getting married or going to a wedding and you want to get into this gorgeous dress, like I've got one put aside that I want to squeeze into as well. And so I still need to think about what I could do to help fine-tune my weight loss. And it's a lot of it is making those action plans and creating those goals to get the results that we want to get. So let me tell you a few things about what my clients are getting, the results that they're getting in their diet. One client mentioned that he was super grateful to be able to see what he can eat and what to avoid. And he found that very powerful because it gave him something to focus on that could reduce his inflammation quickly and help him with the weight loss, because that's what he wanted. He wanted to reduce the weight so he could reduce, the symptoms in his body, so he could have less of the big D and get his body back in control. He wanted to reclaim his life, and he did. And he got down to his weight, to his goal weight, and off all medications and no symptoms in his body. And his A1C is under 6. It's under 5.8. So I think it's 5. It goes, it can go up and down, but I know it was under 6. And so this is something you want to think about, is what is happening inside your body and what is your goal? Do you want longevity? Do you want to age backwards, reverse age, and have health so that you can play with your grandkids? Especially as women over 50, we want to think about how much quality life we have so that we can have healthy bones, build muscle, and stay healthy. And finding out what our food sensitivities is so important to turning off the pain of inflammation in our body, because if we have inflammation, then we're going to have higher insulin levels in the body. We're going to have more of a metabolic dysfunction when we don't actually tune into what our food sensitivities are and actually tune into what could be going wrong in our body. But the thing is, what's going wrong in your body, once you discover your hidden healing opportunities and correct them, then you get your health back under control. And so that's really cool. I just love all the results. I haven't run one test that didn't have massive support from my clients. This is in the first 30 days. They get big wins. They turn off the pain of inflammation. Pain goes from a 10 to a 4 to a 2, and they can get out of bed without hurting. They don't have to pee in the middle of the night, because peeing in the middle of the night is a symptom of inflammation. You shouldn't have to get up more than once. If you've drunk a lot of water or none at all, you can sleep through the night. Like I did last night, I didn't get up to go pee. We shouldn't have to get up to go pee unless you drank just, a lot of water just before bed. So that would be different. And more energy. You take out those foods that are causing brain fog, you're going to get amazing energy. How would you like to be able to stand on your feet all day like I can and not have any inflammation on the bottom of your feet, that you could be active and go for long hikes when you want to, or go and do whatever hobby you want to do that makes you happy? And you can do those things when you're feeling better in your body, when you've addressed your food sensitivities, and actually then put your gut back together again and fix what's going on. And so don't have to suffer and struggle. There doesn't have to be brain fog, depression, chronic fatigue, constipation, bloating, acne, autoimmune joint. Let's find out what's going on with your body. These are all things that we can do. And so one of the recaps that I guess, let me see if I can do this recap because I've kind of been all over the place with figuring out what are my 3 steps that I wanted to talk about today. But the food sensitivity is going to help you uncover your weight loss blocks because you're going to turn off the pain of inflammation. And when you have less inflammation in your body, then your body's going to function better and you can actually start losing weight because you took out the interference that was causing you to have weight gain to begin with. So this is just one step that you can do to help you dial in the weight. And when you do this correctly and you actually do it with more of a whole foods diet, that could be 10 pounds in 1 month. And that can be quicker than even using Ozempic, because I've heard somebody use Ozempic and, they didn't get the weight loss that they were looking for. And then, so that could be problematic too, but this doesn't have side effects. When you do a whole foods diet and you eat foods that you do not have food sensitivities to, you can then get your body back on track. And so that's how it can help you with the weight loss. And as you're running this test and finding your hidden healing opportunities, you're just one step closer, or maybe 5 steps closer to finding those, to rebuilding your health so that you can get the health that you want to have. You get to reclaim your health again. And so those are super cool. I love the fact that, let me see, one client just managing food sensitivities and cleaning up her diet lost 30 pounds. Another client lost 30 pounds within a 6-month period, but she didn't have pain. She lost pain in her foot in 9 days by managing food sensitivities. That was so quick. And just energy, more energy. Across the board, more energy, more sleep, less depression, and better skin health. And overall, you know what happens when you take out the foods you're sensitive to? Your cravings diminish. And then you don't have ravenous cravings because you're actually addressing a need in your body to fine-tune what your food sensitivities are. So super powerful. So grateful that I have this test to run. And I do want to tell you about my special program. I just posted it in a reel today, so go back and check on it. And it is my new monthly subscription that is less expensive than my 6-month 6-lab VIP program, but it is an option. And so if you wanted to get on a call and schedule a call, we can talk about what's going on in your body, what your goals are, and what your needs are, and see how I could support you and see whether or not a monthly program is a good fit for you, or if you really wanted to jump into the 6-month program and actually collapse time and get all the hidden healing opportunities mapped out and find out what it is you need to do for your body today. But sometimes that is too big an investment for people, and maybe you're not ready for that step. But I do have my monthly subscription, and right now I'm running a special that if you do commit to a 6-month subscription, then you could get $50 off a month. And if you wanted to add on the food sensitivity test, we could do that as well. It is an extra cost in that you do have to pay for the test, but that is an option. And so those are, sometimes it's just taking action and making a step and going in the right direction and starting to find those hidden healing opportunities, which are your weight loss blocks, and dialing that in, so that you get to take control of your health. You get to reclaim your health and rebuild your health and start to turn off the pain of inflammation, because there should not be any pain in your body if what you're doing and what you're eating and your environment is right for your body. And so think about that. As we get older, we might be more stiff, but what can we do to support our health? So those are what I wanted to talk about today. And I think I've gone over all of my notes. Again, this is the card that you get with your food sensitivity test. And if you're late coming on, go back and listen to this. But this is the food sensitivity test, the MRT food sensitivity test. It tests for 176 foods and food chemicals so that you could find out what you are sensitive to and eliminate those foods. Again, you would want to eliminate the yellows for at least 3 months and longer, and the reds would be for 6 months or longer. And if you're having a food sensitivity to wheat and you have a lot of inflammation, you might want to take those reds out even longer, up to a year, because you want to get your body to get into a good healing state. And when you get into a good healing state, that's when the magic happens. We need to heal and seal the gut, re-inoculate your bacteria, turn off the pain of inflammation, and find out what your body can tolerate. Because once you reduce the noise in your body from all the food sensitivities, you'll be able to feel which ones are bothering you. Every time my client has a cheat day, they get sick and they don't feel good, because that food then is very noticeable in the gut, And there's also going to be more acne, more gut dysfunction, and you're going to notice it, and you're going to have more brain fog. And so that is something that you want to know about. It's not something you want to hide from. And so, some people might say they don't want to take the test because they don't want to know what they're sensitive to. But what if you could turn off the pain of inflammation in your body by having this knowledge? This is power. This is empowering us to test and not guess, to find out what's going on in our body so we could choose to have weight loss and choose to have the life that we want to live, and to be able to get down on the ground and get back up again in our 80s, and then get out and go dancing and stand upright and be physically healthy without being in a nursing home and having a disease. Sometimes it comes down to that. An investment, I understand that it's an investment, but we all need to understand that we're worth it. We're worth spending money on ourselves so we can be the best body we can have. And if we have other people who are relying on us to take care of them, if we don't take care of ourselves, then how can we take care of them? So we do need to spend time on ourselves. But again, there's different ways to work with me. So that's something you want to get on a call. The call is free. Let's find out what's going on, and I'll let you know how I can help you. Okay. Thank you for joining me live. I appreciate that. And talk to you soon. Bye.